Hi there, this is KM, and I'm an associate professor of the School of Life Sciences, the Chinese University of Hong Kong. The second topic we have in this course of Introduction to Environmental Science is about globalization and sustainable development. For this topic, we have a slogan: think globally and act locally. There are 3 short videos of this lecture. First, globalization and global issues. Second, issues of sustainable development. Thirdly, we would like to take a look of our sustainable development systems in Hong Kong. At the end, we shall have an in-class discussion. We are the world, one Earth. There are many global environmental challenges, from biodiversity to ozone depletion to climate change. Following industrialization is modernization, commercialization causing exploitation of natural resources, resource depletion, and ecological imbalance. These are global challenges that require local action, and that is think globally, act locally. There are 4 levels to compile with global context, from personal to community level, regional level, and global treaty level to make our world better. Globalization is like a double-edged sword, making us united but divided. The ending outcome is about to deplete our resources while we can benefit from the comfortable living in a modern world. The outcomes also show inequality with 20% versus 80%. 20% well-off, 80% of the population are under development. In other words, 20% of the population is taking advantage of the rest of the world. Another major impact is our sustainability. A lesson from the Easter Island of the South Pacific perhaps is the best example of many other previous cultures or civilizations could collapse, and such development under globalization is just not sustainable for the entire human civilization, not just one culture, and we are in a more critical condition now. There are various impacts of globalization: poverty, exploitation of resources, monopoly power, and terrorism, etc. One of the ways to measure resource depletion is identifying ecological footprint. It was proposed by the World Wide Fund for Nature to estimate per surface unit and per inhabitant the pressure of human activities on Earth using data from the United Nations (UN). The concept is that resources are not unlimited. Human activities are now at least 30% beyond the planet's capacity to make enough resources. If developing countries have the same footprints as developed countries, our resources would be depleted sooner. The resources are in these 6 categories of field, fishing, forest, livestock production, and cultivation. Fuel consumption is about the energy we use, including human settlement or housing development, timber, food, and seafood, which make up to a big ecological footprint. Comparing human welfare and ecological footprints between developed and developing countries, developed countries like USA, Australia, Norway, and Canada are far exceeding the Earth's biocapacity of 2.1 hectares per person. This chart showed that countries in Africa are left behind in Human Development Index on the left-hand side. Their ecological footprint per person is also lower than the world's average. If we are consuming 30% more than we can produce, using the concept of ecological footprint, by 2050, we shall use up our resources. Therefore, we should plan to use less to save the world. Agenda 21 is the agenda for the 21st century from United Nations, from the Earth Summit held in last century, to address the issues of human impacts on the environment. It lists out social, environment, and economic context to establish a global policy for sustainable development. The last item we have in this video is on the concept of the tragedy of the commons, which was proposed by Gary Hardin in 1968. He proposed that in the commons, like in a farm, each shepherd can only raise one sheep. The shepherd then had the idea of raising more sheep in the farm with limited land or grassland. Would the carrying capacity be enough to support that many sheep to be raised in the farm? Of course, there is a limit. However, Gary Hardin raised a very important and debatable question. He said that in a conditional cause, there is no teleological fix, is there? I'm not so sure how to answer this question. Obviously, our modern society is developing new technology to deal with all sorts of environmental problems or environmental sustainability related issues. We need a policy, which is a global governance issue. That is politics, and an issue of policy development too. This is a cartoon made to describe the tragedy of the commons. The 4 shepherds, now if they raise 4 sheep to 16 sheep with 4 per shepherd, the commons will sustain until the carrying capacity is exceeded. The negative effects started to emerge. There would be no grass left on the commons. Similar cases like fisheries and farming occur. All these issues are created by humans, and we are putting our stuff in creating the tragedy of the commons. A series of questions being asked include environmental costs, technological fix, legal control, any proactive policy, or as basic as law to distribute and allocate our resources or share the burdens. Here are 2 schools of thought, communism and capitalism. Perhaps not, but basically we have dictatorship, planned economy or free economy, but moving into a more government-regulated market economy. However, both government types rely on rule of laws. When we start off, we develop mutual understanding through education. Then with guidelines and consensus. Later on, we apply charges and taxes when necessary. And at the end, clear legislation and laws are needed to punish the wrongdoing. We also need laws for judicial review. However, our courts only rule with laws, and lawyers are not environmental watchdogs. There are now many international laws being implemented, say, to help solving climate change problems. Back to the basic, we need to develop useful and timely development policy or effective policy by first identifying the specific problem, setting agenda and developing proposals, building support from the general public with sufficient consultations, we can finally enact law and rule and to implement the policy. Of course, we also need to evaluate the results and suggest changes or modification to complete the policy cycle. At the end, to sum up, key challenges persist. Look at the increase of megacities on this planet. Urbanization and unsustainable cities is a big issue. As population increases, disaster will follow. How about ecological economics? The limits of growth, laws and policy related to environmental governance. How should we work together as a global citizen? So think globally and work locally. I'm afraid we have to do so in order to save the world. Thank you for watching.